G'day guys, and welcome to my NRL Finals Week 1 tips. There's going to be plenty of videos throughout the week breaking down the games individually. I'm also jumping on Sam Revel's channel tomorrow night to get into the round 1 preview as such for the finals. It's a very different game in finals, and we've seen that. There's plenty of teams competing for the title. Obviously at the top, you've got the Penrith Panthers, last year's premiers. 4 cracking games of football. You can't not say that any of these games are disappointing this weekend. We have 8 quality teams that are going to have a great shot at the title. I'm looking forward to getting into my Week 1 finals. The first game, Friday night. I've got my tickets. Have you? The Battle of the West. If you don't have your tickets, make sure you head on over to the Talking Para Podcast Instagram page. I'm sharing it as much as I can. We're giving away some tickets for this game. I can't wait to see everyone there, especially in your blue and gold. And to you Panthers fans, good luck. But let's get into this game. Obviously, lots of outs for the Panthers as they did rest their team against the Cowboys and were whopped. The reserve grade side did a good job for the most part. Not much expected of them, but you've got Coruscant, Toto, Edwards, pretty much their whole team. I don't really need to go through it. But basically in the centres, you've got Isaac Targo and Stephen Crichton. You've got the return of Nathan Cleary at halfback. His first game since being sent off for that tackle, I think it was on Dylan Brown at the CommBank Stadium. And then their bench is Mitch Kenny, so they haven't gone with Charlie Staines for this one. Scott Sorensen, Spencer Lenu and Jamin Salmon. Matt Eisenhuth and Jermaine Hopgood on the reserves. And as for the Parramatta Eels, we are unchanged for our side. There is one change I want to address, and that is the fact that our 18th man is Nathan Brown. I think there's a huge chance that either Oregon Kafusi or Makatoa in 14 or 16 may drop out of the side. Nathan Brown, who we're going to need the aggression of forwards. It's going to be a big game, and I do think someone is off to the sin bin. I think it's going to be fired up, plenty of emotion. Parramatta defeated Penrith, the first team to defeat them at Bluebet Stadium. I think it's 22 points to 20, might have been 22 to 24 in that game, but we got the job done at Penrith. Did the same thing at home. We were leading them before Nathan Cleary was sent off the field. We obviously took the foot off the gas against the Panthers, so they're going to come for us defensively in this game. It's going to be a very tough game at Bluebet Stadium. The Panthers have had a phenomenal season, but I tell you what guys, I actually think the Eels will win this. I'm going to tip Parramatta to win this game by 4 points. I think it's going to be very, very close, and I think $3.10. I don't know if the bookies have got this one right. I still would have had Parramatta as outsiders. I would have had about $1.54 to $2.50, taking that $2.50. So for $3.10, I'm bagging that one on the Eels. This is a game that puts the Eels one game away into a grand final. Parramatta have struggled for years with consistency. And I think this game is a huge test to show that we can be one game away from the grand final. We've shown that we can compete against the top sides. What's to stop us from going back to Bluebet and doing it again? It is going to be a tough game. I am confident that we can win, but I'm not confident that we will win. But I'm going to tip Parramatta to win, 20 points to 16. I reckon Regan Campbell-Gillard is going to have a blinder against his old club. So I'm going to take Regan Campbell-Gillard to score a try at any time. I'm going to check the value on that one now as an anytime try scorer. I was going to back him first, but I'm going to go Sevo. I think Sevo's a much safer option. Campbell-Gillard is actually $14 to score a try against his old club, but I think it's going to be 1 in the forward. Penrith is going to be high scoring, 16 points, Parramatta 20. I'm tipping the Eels in an upset on Friday night. The next game is at Amy Park. This game is Saturday at 5:40, not 5:30, 5:40. As for this game, Jerome Hughes has been named for the Melbourne Storm. That's a huge in. Scoring plenty of points against the Eels towards the end of the match, but they look like they were out of it for the most part. They return to a huge crowd at Amy Park. They've been disappointing in parts at Amy Park this season. Come finals time, the Melbourne Storm are a different team. The Raiders, they rested a few players last week to prepare themselves for a big clash. Not a lot of people expected them to play finals, especially with their start to the year. Here they are in 8th position against the 5th place Melbourne Storm. As for the Raiders, Joe Tarpany for mine has been one of the best players all year in the NRL, so he's a big danger man. He's going up against Big Nelson Astopa Solomona, who obviously in the media won stuff up and he could be sent from the field, but we're seeing him being just cleared and fined of things happening, so I'm not going to get into that. You got the battle of the fullbacks in Nick Meaney and Xavier Savage too, who've had a really nice season. They've been a mixed bag, but for the most part, they've had a really nice season. You got Jack Whiten, who previously was a Dally M winner, grand finalist, going up against Cameron Munster, who's battling it out for the Dally M in some great form this year, and having his halves partner in Jerome Hughes is huge. Now, the Raiders, plenty of points against the Tigers, but it's against the Tigers, the Wooden Spooners. You can't take too much out. You got that home factor of Melbourne. The Storm is still a good team. Can the Raiders eliminate them? I think they can. I'm tipping Canberra here. This is a bit of an upset. It's a bit of a hell of an upset. Hudson Young, for me, is the key to this game. He is giving me John Bateman vibes. The Raiders have won their last 4 games at Amy Park, just like Parramatta heading to Bluebet. They've got that kind of mind factor there. They know that they can do it. Papali'i's playing some really good footy with his offload and his running game as well. Sebastian Chris is having a fantastic season, scoring tries for fun. Nick Kotrick, it's his first finals game for the Raiders in a few years, and obviously at Amy Park last time he had a good game as well. So I'm looking at that bench, and I think there's bigger bodies on the Melbourne Storm, but I think there's more attack and points from the bench of the Raiders. You've seen Harawira Naira score tries all year. You've seen Tom Starling do it. As for the Melbourne Storm, I guess you could make an argument for Brandon Smith, but Tui Kamakamika, Trent Lerio and Chris Lewis, I think there's a bit of a downside for the Melbourne Storm. I think they've had a really strange old season, the Melbourne Storm, and I think we're going to see them bow out in week 1 of the finals. I'm going to tip the Raiders by 10. It's a big margin too. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to go with the Raiders 30, the Melbourne Storm 20. As for this game, I do think Melbourne will score first. I think the Raiders will be able to get back on top of them. I'm going to take Justin Olam, the Melbourne Storm, to score first in this game. This next game is incredibly difficult to pick. The Cronulla Sharks are at home to the North Queensland Cowboys. Now the Cowboys, their record in Sydney has not been great this season. I believe it's 2 wins and 2 losses. So about 50%. Been great at home all season. If they're at home, you'd have a lot more confidence tipping them. They obviously had Tom Dearden back in the side this last week. Cohen Hess has been named on the bench for the Cowboys. So their bench is Hess, Neem, Gilbert and Hammer, who was obviously named in the halves, I think, a few weeks ago as well. And then the Sharks bench, you got Teague Wilton, Cameron McInnes, Braden Halmanueli and Andrew Fafita. Huge home crowd. Both of these teams have been inconsistent, but the Sharks are on a win streak. They're playing some great footy. They are, in my opinion, the dark horse to win the premiership for the first time in 6 years. William Kennedy is back at fullback. It's his first game in a while. I've enjoyed watching Lockie Miller and even Cade Dykes in that space, but Will obviously deserves that jersey. He's coming round to final. They're full strength here. You got Scott Drinkwater at fullback for the Cowboys, Dearden and Townsend back in the halves, and Robson, who's having a great season. But the home advantage is such a huge thing, and obviously I've tipped the away team for those first 2 games. As for this game, I'm going to tip the exact same thing. I'm going to tip the away team. I reckon the Cowboys, who have lost their last 8 games against the Sharks, mind you, will get up for this game. I think the Cowboys, even though they've lost 2 games out of the last 4, they've been tough opponents for the most part. They had the Roosters and the Rabbitohs, 2 very tough teams that are obviously playing finals this year. As for the Sharks, I think they've beaten the Tigers, they've beaten the Bulldogs, they kept the Bulldogs scoreless, they beat the Knights. They've had these periods where they've clocked off. Those periods, the Cowboys for mine, they've got plenty of attack. I reckon the Cowboys will win by 1. I reckon you're in for a cracking game on Saturday night at Shark Park at 7:50. I reckon the Cowboys will win off a Valentine Holmes field goal. Or no, you know what? Chad Townsend's going to kick this field goal. 17 points to 16. Chad's up against his old club, and Chad's going to send them into a semi-final. I'm tipping the Cowboys to win, but I am thinking that the Cronulla Sharks will lead this game at half-time. I reckon the Sharkies will be right in it. Everyone will think it's the Sharks game to lose, and I think that's what they'll do. So I'm going to take the Sharks to score first as well, and I'm going to take Britton Nakora. He's coming off a hat-trick. I love a back rower. Britton Nakora to score first. He's coming off a big season. He scored a hat-trick in the last game against the Newcastle Knights last week, and he's going up against Jeremiah Nanai, who's having a big game, big season as well. But I'm going to go the Cowboys to win by 1 point. The next game, which I'll also be at, is an incredibly hard game to tip. If you think you can tip this game with confidence, you throw that out the window. The Sydney Roosters up against the South Sydney Rabbitohs in an elimination final. It's what we've all dreamed of. It's what we've been waiting for. It's going to be a huge game. We return to Allianz Stadium. Fantastic night against the Rabbitohs for Roosters fans on Friday. And now it's sudden death. The Rabbitohs, Peter Marmozelis is out for this game. Onto their bench is Cody Nikorima, Hame Sele, Thomas Burgess, who was great the other night, and Sylvia Harvili moves back into the 17 as Damien Cook is back from COVID. As for the Roosters, few big ins here. Obviously, Joey Manu's out. Huge out in the centres. So their centre pairing is Paul Momirovski, who was on the wing last week, and Drew Hutchinson in the centres. Suwali and Tupou are back for the Sydney Roosters. Victor Radley is in, and Sua Wong has been named in jersey number 22. A lot of people think Sua Wong, especially against the Rabbitohs, could make his NRL debut. Big talks of him being the next Boyd Cordner, from what I've heard. The Rabbitohs, they've had a funny old season for the most part, but so have the Roosters. The Roosters have lost to teams like the Bulldogs. I can't remember who else they've lost to, but they've lost some weird games. Souths, they lost to the Dragons earlier in the year. When Latrell Mitchell came back from overseas, he was very fit. He has had some massive moments. Last week, he's going to be fired up. The Ferrari's going to be ready to roll on Sunday. This is a home game for the Roosters. You know I've tipped the away team for this game. I can't go past the Roosters here. The big in for me is Cameron Murray for South Sydney. Tavita Tola is having a fantastic season, so he's the key for me, his offload ability to Cameron Murray's quick play the balls to win this game. For me though, I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's going to be the lowest scoring game of the weekend, but I think the Roosters can get it done. I think the halves pairing of Luke Keary and Sam Walker, the experience of James Tedesco in a finals game, and that recruitment of obviously Matt Lodge with Jared Waria-Hargraves. Matt Lodge for this game has been moved to the bench, and Taki Aho is starting at prop, which is interesting because Lodge has been in some great starting form, but I'm going to go with a scoreline of 16 points to 12 here. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's going to be just like that 2018 game, I think it was, where the Roosters defeated the Rabbitohs in a very low-scoring game. That was the last game, I think, also at Allianz Stadium. But I am going to go with the Roosters here. I think they're going to be a little bit too good for South Sydney. There's plenty of strike across both of these teams on the park. Ultimately, if a few players get ruled out, especially kind of Victor Radley, there could be a chance I post a change of tip. But at this present moment, I'm going to go 16 points to 12 in favour of the Roosters. And as for the first try scorer, I am going to go with Joseph Suwali to score the first try this game. So my NRL tips for week 1 of the finals, guys, is going to be the Parramatta Eels to defeat the Panthers, the Canberra Eels by 4, the Raiders by 10. I think they can do it. I really believe in the green machine at the moment. The Cowboys by 1, and the Sydney Roosters to win by 4 points. Guys, I'll be at Friday night. I'll be there Sunday night. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what finals game you're going to. I can't wait for NRL finals. Plenty of content coming out. I'll see you guys later.